Hari Om, Namaste. I warmly welcome you all in this day 59 of 108 days of Surya Namaskara or Sun Salutations Challenge. And today we will be continuing our yoga philosophy discussion of what we concluded in our last session, which was on asana. So in the fourth of the eight limbs, in Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga comes pranayama, a very, very, very important tool because it is also the most accessible to one and all, irrespective of their age, irrespective of their physical status, irrespective of their condition, their job, their whatever, because this is related to breath. If you are alive, you must be breathing. So a very important section coming up on pranayama, the discussion of the yoga philosophy today after the yoga asana practice. So let's get going with our Surya Namaskar practice first, then we will talk about the pranayama. Welcome to the yoga philosophy section of our 59th day of the Surya Namaskar or Sun Salutations challenge. And today we will continue what we have been discussing from the previous 2 days, is to discuss the different limbs of the Ashtanga yoga as described in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which is one of the two fundamental root texts on yoga. The other one, of course, is Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Having said that, there are other root texts on Hatha yoga practices and things like that. That's a different topic. So today we talk about the fourth limb after we have completed the discussion on yama, niyama and asana. So today it will be on pranayama, a very, very important discussion because it is subtle. The breath is accessible to everybody. Everybody has it, but it's also very subtle. You have to be really, really knowing and really mindful to actually maneuver the breath in the correct way so that it works for us, okay, for many ailments and impairments. So having said that, let's hear from Maharishi Patanjali himself what he talks about pranayama or working with the breath. So in the second chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, that is the Sadhana Pada, Sutra number 49 to 52 talks about the pranayama. Today in this episode, I will be talking about 49th and the 50th Sutra. So the 49th Sutra, it introduces pranayama. What is it? Tasmin sati shwasa prashwasayor gati vichhedah pranayama. Tasmin sati shwasa prashwasayor gati vichhedah pranayama means having established in that. What in that means in what? Tasmin, in that, in what? In the firm and steady and easeful posture of asana, having established in that, expansion of the swasa and praswasa means expansion of the in-breath and the out-breath is what is called pranayama. Now it is just the introduction. Now, as we know, there are many different kinds of pranayama that invokes different kinds of energy within us, right? And it is used either for, say, for example, heating up to create more heat within the body or to cool down the body and things like that. So these intricacies come into play in the sutra number 50, 51 and 52. So in the 50th sutra, Maharishi Patanjali talks about three different aspects of pranayama, okay? In the 50th sutra, what does it talk about? What does Maharishi Patanjali talk about? He says, Bahyabhyantara stambha vrittir desha kala sankhyaabhihi paridrishto dirgha sukshmaha. So the expansion, the maneuvering of the breath can be done in the bahya, means in our external breath, meaning in the out breath, abhyantara, in our in breath, stambha vritti means to sustain it, to hold the breath. So basically there are three aspects of this breathing. One is the puraka, the in breath, one that fills our lungs, then rechaka, one that excretes out from the lungs, and one is that kumbhaka, means one when we are holding the breath in between the inhalation and exhalation. So it can be the inward holding of the breath after the inhalation, and after the exhalation will be outward holding of the breath. So bahyabhyantara stambha vrittir desha kala sankhyaabhihi means this expansion can be deferred by the parameters of desha, means which part of the body we are focusing the breath on, right? As we know, for example, the three-step breathing, the dirgha pranayama, all this like one focuses on the upper chest, one focuses on the lower chest, one focuses on, say, in between of the eyebrows. So things like that. Different pranayamas are guided towards focusing in different parts of the body. So desha kala means how long are we spending in each of the in-breath and the out-breath and the retention if we are doing it. So desha kala, the time involved in the in-breath, out-breath and the retention. And sankhya means the count, the numbering, how many times, how many repetitions we are doing. So if some pranayama, for example, is very heating, like Bhastrika, Kapalabhati, and we are doing it in the summer, in the mid of the day, for a prolonged time, for somebody who has a pitta aggravation already, for somebody who is suffering from ailments like internal wounds, internal cuts and bruises, like ulcers and things like that, and if they are doing it for a longer time, for many repetitions, it's not good. As simple as that. Common sense, right? So desha kala sankhya paridrishta means if observed very closely, the parameters, these three parameters, desha kala sankhya, it can vary the nature of the pranayama extensively, and it can make the pranayama dirgha and or sukshma. Dirgha means elongated, very elongated, and sukshma means very subtle. Sometimes you might not even notice somebody is having a breathing practice, a pranayama, right? Somebody is in their yogic kriya of pranayama. You might not even notice it. So what I'm telling you is that the 50th sutra talks about the parameters of what makes this expansion and controlling of the inhalation and exhalation, in breath and out breath, differing. So in terms of say, I would say the kala, the timing, I would say one rule of thumb is usually the amount of time you take the in breath, you exhale double the amount of time. Means not the double the amount of air you are expelling out, but the amount of air you inhale. Then suppose you are inhaling for 4 counts, then you are exhaling for 8 counts, or you are inhaling for 5 counts, you are exhaling for 10 counts, right? Because usually we have a tendency of exhaling quicker than inhaling. So it's reversing the pattern consciously, getting hold, getting in charge, getting on top of our breathing patterns. Okay. So desha kala sankhya, bahyabhyantara stambhavrittir, desha kala sankhya paridrishto dirgha sukshmaha. And by focusing, by observing it very keenly about the desha kala sankhya, these parameters, the pranayama can be dirgha, means elongated, it can be sukshma, means it can be very subtle. Okay, so this was what Maharshi Patanjali talked about regarding pranayama, and I hope you enjoyed this. There are other 2 sutras also, the 51st and the 52nd sutra in the 2nd chapter, which talks about pranayama. We will talk about it in the next session. I would like to conclude this 59th session of Surya Namaskara or Sun Salutations challenge of 108 days. We are moving forward, cruising forward, and I'm so grateful that you all have been joining me in this journey. I hope to see you in the next session and in the subsequent sessions. Please do write in the comment section if you have any questions regarding this discussion. I know it can get very subtle especially if you are getting introduced to these 8 limbs of yoga or things like that. You have never seen yoga like this, never gotten exposed to the root texts of yoga. I know sometimes some explanations are definitely required. So please write me in the comment sections like that. And if you practice any specific pranayama, please do write me in the comment sections also. What are those pranayamas that you practice? And by the way, if you are here until this far, and if you haven't subscribed the channel so far, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon so that you don't miss any of the videos I upload or in the live sessions I bring toward you with all these nuggets of wisdom. So having said that, share this video generously with your loved ones who might also benefit from this yoga journey, yoga sessions, and their life might be transformed. Who knows? So thank you so much. Stay with me until the end, and I am grateful to have you here. See you in the next session. Hari Om.